In the early 1970s, British politics saw a pattern of alternating power between the Labour Party and the Conservatives. This cycle was marked by a sense of similarity between the two parties. However, after the Conservatives lost in 1974, dissatisfaction within the party led to the emergence of Margaret Thatcher as a leader. Despite internal divisions, Thatcher seized the chance to revitalize the party and ultimately secured the nomination. Thatcher was a distinct figure in politics, breaking norms in various ways. As a woman in a male-dominated field, she stood out and embraced her middle-class roots, unlike the aristocratic image associated with her party. Her modest attire contrasted with typical political dress, resembling that of a housewife. Despite not initially being a prominent figure within her party, she held firmly right-wing beliefs. What truly distinguished her was her confrontational approach. Unlike her peers who favored smooth diplomacy, she directly challenged opponents, showing a strong appetite for political combat. Many initially saw Thatcher's rise to power as luck and doubted her longevity. During her early years as party leader, while Labour was in office, she did little to dispel this perception. Thatcher openly criticized socialism, blaming it for Britain's economic decline, and took a tough stance against the Soviet Union. However, it wasn't until the winter of 1978-79, amidst public sector union strikes, that she adopted a more aggressive approach. Linking the strikes to the Labour Party and Prime Minister James Callaghan, her bold rhetoric divided opinions and grabbed media attention. Yet many doubted its effectiveness, believing voters sought reassurance, not fear tactics. In the 1979 general election called by the Labour Party, Margaret Thatcher maintained an aggressive stance, framing the election as a battle against socialism and a crucial moment for Britain's modernization. Despite James Callaghan's reputation as a gentlemanly politician, Thatcher's relentless attacks unnerved him. Callaghan openly expressed disdain for Thatcher, dismissing her as a mere housewife turned politician. Both leaders agreed that the election was pivotal, but Callaghan warned that Thatcher's victory would destabilize the economy. While Thatcher's fear tactics initially alarmed voters, they also polarized the electorate, highlighting stark differences between the parties. This polarization attracted attention and swayed undecided voters towards Thatcher's camp, resulting in a significant victory for her. Thatcher, despite winning the election, defied expectations as Prime Minister by implementing budget cuts even beyond her campaign promises, causing economic shock and a surge in unemployment as warned by her opponent, Callaghan. Discontent grew within her party, particularly among influential members labeled by Thatcher as the Wets, who criticized her leadership and feared the consequences of her policies. In response, Thatcher purged them from her cabinet, further isolating herself. Despite mounting opposition and declining popularity, she remained determined to push her agenda forward, alienating more allies. With adversaries increasing and her popularity plummeting, her political career appeared destined for an end in the next election. Then in 1982, a military junta in Argentina attempted to seize control of the Falkland Islands, anticipating little resistance from Britain. Margaret Thatcher surprised many by swiftly dispatching a naval task force to the Falklands, displaying her resolve. Despite criticism from Labour and concerns within her own party about the costs of war, Thatcher remained resolute. Initially isolated, her decisive action garnered public admiration for her courage and determination. Thatcher's leadership contrasted with perceived indecisiveness among male politicians, earning her praise for her firm and confident approach. Following the successful reclamation of the Falklands, Margaret Thatcher's popularity surged, eclipsing Britain's economic and social concerns. Her leadership grew even more prominent, leading to decisive victories over the Labour Party in the following 2 elections. Margaret Thatcher's ascent to power marked a departure from the political establishment. She was a middle-class woman with right-wing views, positioning herself as an outsider. While many newcomers to power seek to assimilate into the establishment, Thatcher resisted this urge, recognizing that her distinctiveness was key to her public appeal. Embracing her outsider status, she maintained her identity and refused to conform to the norms of the predominantly male political elite. In fact, she emphasized her outsider status, portraying herself as a lone woman against a male-dominated establishment. Throughout her political career, Margaret Thatcher strategically identified opponents to contrast with herself, such as socialists, Wets, and the Argentinians. These adversaries helped shape her image as determined, powerful, and willing to make sacrifices for her beliefs. Embracing enemies and taking a clear stance against them helps forge a loyal support base. Thatcher eschewed the center ground, preferring to polarize people and create a space for decisive action, rather than blending into the crowd where battles cannot be fought effectively. In life, there's a constant pressure to conform to the center, not just in politics, but in all aspects. The center represents compromise and getting along, which is an essential skill but carries a risk. By always seeking harmony and avoiding conflict, you risk losing sight of your identity and blending in with the crowd. Instead, view yourself as a fighter, an outsider surrounded by adversaries. Engaging in constant battle will keep you sharp and resilient. It will clarify your beliefs, both for yourself and for others. Don't worry about upsetting people. Without conflict, there can be no meaningful struggle, and without struggle, there's no chance of victory. Don't be seduced by the desire to be liked. It's better to be respected or even feared. Achieving victory over your enemies will bring you lasting respect and admiration.